So the rules, the main thing that you need to know is that you can only get a home equity loan and tap into your home's equity one time a year. That's every 12 months, 365 days must pass before you can do another home equity loan. Let's say that your house increased more in value and you want to tap into it. You have to wait 1 year. The other thing is that you can only have one home equity loan at a time. So if you did a home equity loan and now you're wanting to get a second home equity loan, you are not allowed to do that without rolling those loans together. The costs for home equity loan are limited. They don't want lenders gouging you with fees. In fact, other than normal customary lender and title fees, any fees to buy down the rate, et cetera, are limited to 2% of the loan amount. That means if your home equity loan is $100,000, that the max fees could be $2,000. Now, there are some additional fees that are allowed, like I said, customary, like appraisal, admin fee for the lender, but that's something that it's good for you to know, is that they don't want your fees to be too high. That's a good thing for you. Another important restriction is that you're limited to 80% of your home's value. That means that if your house is worth, let's say $500,000, you calculate that times 80%, that gives us $400,000. It means that your total loans, whether you're doing this as a first and a second loan, or if you have just one loan with the equity rolled out of it, that you can't have more than a $400,000 loan. So that's very, very important to know. We want you to always maintain 20% of equity in your home, and that's to protect you. In case values go down in the future, we don't want you to be upside down. These are only for primary residences, which means this is the home where you live. Furthermore, there's a restriction on acreage. It can't be more than 10 acres, and there can be no co-signers that don't live in the property. So everyone on the loan must live in the property, which usually that's a spouse. Very, very important for you to know. You have to qualify on your own merit without using a co-signer. Also, if you just bought the property, you can't tap into the equity until 6 months after you purchased it. So this is kind of a cooling off period to make sure that values aren't inflated. This has happened in 2021. We saw this ginormous inflation and you bought a property and 1 month later it was worth a ton more. Well, Texas wants to protect you and make sure that you're not caught in the dust of things settling and going backwards. So they have a 6-month cooling off period where you cannot tap into higher equity until a 6-month period. And finally, these are for one unit properties only. No duplexes, no triplexes. It can be a house, can be a condo, can be a townhome, it can be a mobile home, but no multi-units on this type of a loan. It's important to note, we're going to go over minimum and maximum amounts. So we talked before about the 80% limit. Now it's important to know that some lenders will limit you to 75 or 80%, depending on maybe your credit score, depending on the size of the loan. The jumbo loans, the loans that are larger over the conforming loan limit, are generally looked at differently and usually want to max at 70 or 75% loan to value. There's also minimum and maximum loan amounts. When it's a first loan, if you're paying off your current loan and taking cash out in that one big bulk loan, there may be a minimum loan amount. I know that our company, for example, is a minimum of 140. They might have a 100. They might have a 200. You just need to ask the company and they're going to let you know what their restrictions are. There's also some maximum amounts that you can get cash back. It's very common that lenders, especially when you get into the jumbo loan limits, they don't want you to get too much money in your hands at one time. I know this sounds kind of crazy because it's your equity. Jennifer, we should be able to access our equity. I agree with you. I'm just the messenger of letting you know how the industry works. You can formulate your questions and do what is best for you. Now we're going to go over the 3 ways to access home equity. There's only 3. So number 1, you've got a current loan. Let's say it's $200,000. And let's say your house is worth $500,000 in our initial example. 80% of that is $400,000. So you subtract your loan of $200,000, the max you can get is $200,000. And you say, okay, Jen, I'm going to do a new loan, just one loan for $400,000. That's an 80% loan to value. So that loan will pay off your old loan and you'll get one new loan. Now you can amortize it. You don't have to do it another 30 years. You can do it 15, 20, 25. I will say though, some people do cause pause here and they get worried. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm creating another 30-year loan. Well, if you're faced with a ton of credit card debt or a kid going to college or you want to remodel the house, maybe the years don't matter. You can always prepay. Don't worry about it. These loans have no prepayment penalty, not to worry, oh, I'm getting another 30-year loan. You can always prepay. Also, rates might be lower in the future. You might be able to refi. So stay with me now. That's one loan where you do one new loan. Right now in this high interest rate environment, that's not always for everybody. You're like, why would I give away my 3% interest rate, Jennifer? offer? Well, like I said, if you're facing divorce or you're facing hardship, we definitely want to make this happen for you as quickly as possible. And sometimes that's the best way. There are two other ways that I'll talk about, and that is having the loan as what we call a second lien loan. Now, there's two ways to do this. So this means that we're leaving your first loan in place, your nice push 3%. We're leaving it there right where it is. Let's say in that same example, you have $500,000 loan, 80% is that $400,000. The difference is $200,000. Now, you don't have to take all that money. You could take $100,000. My suggestion is that while you're at it, take the max that you can, because save it for a rainy day. Put it in an investment. Put it in something that's going to make money for you. Granted, you have to be okay with the payment, but remember, you can only get money out one time a year. I've had clients where, hey, we need to pay off credit cards, we want to remodel the house, and we want to put money away for kids' college. Okay, great. Let's do all three of those things. We'll max it out with a max $200,000 that you need. So this second lien loan can be paid back in two ways. It can be one, a home equity line of credit, which means you only pay as you use money on the line. So you might start at 100, you might take 50,000 later. You're only paying interest only on the money that you take. You can also pay it down and then you can charge it back up. So it's a line of credit. Now, something to be aware of is that these home equity lines of credit are interest only. The rates are based usually on prime. Prime can go up and prime can go down. That's kind of what the Fed controls. So when you hear the Fed raising or lowering rates, that will affect your rate on your home equity loan. So some people don't like that feature. They're like, I don't want variable. I don't want interest only. I want to get a loan where I know what the payment is. There's a solution for you. It's called a home equity loan, and it's just a second lien. It would be amortized either 15 or 20 years. Now, the interest rate is higher than what normal mainstream loans are because you're not in first lien loan position. Anytime a lender is in second lien position, they're taking more risk. So therefore, they're going to have a higher interest rate. So it's usually 2 to 3 percentage points above what the kind of market mortgage rates are going for at that time. But again, if you're looking to pay off credit cards, you're looking to invest, you're looking at other things, this could be peanuts in comparison to what you're going to gain when you take out this money. But do beware, this is 15 to 20 year payback. So the payment is going to be larger. It's not going to be to a 30-year loan, which leads me to these three options. You've got to decide and talk to your Texas-based lender. I do recommend, please talk to a Texas-based lender. Other national lenders do not understand Texas equity loans like a Texas lender does. I'm a Texas lender. If you're in Texas, feel free to contact me. My contact information is in the notes. But regardless, you want to talk to a Texas-based lender about this. Thank you for watching. Please join us again. Real facts, no BS. Talk to you soon.